I recently built my 2024 inspired Hex. However, before I did that, on social media I teased about a Canadian product I was going to fit to this bike and had you guys try and guess what it was. Well, no one guessed what it was because this is a unique product that I'm sure a lot of you guys have never seen before. And I'm just going to let the cat out the bag. This is it here. Now that I'm holding it here, I'm sure some of you still have no idea what this thing is. So for me to explain, I actually need to explain a little bit about the Hex first. Modern mountain bikes tend to have pretty slack head angles these days. However, trials bikes are actually the opposite. Inspired are no exception. My Inspired Hex has a 73.5-degree head angle, which is pretty damn steep. And I wondered, what would it be like if it was a little bit slacker? I'm a pretty old school rider. The trials bikes I grew up with had a slightly slacker head angle than my Hex, and certainly my pivot mountain bikes have a lot slacker head angle. So I'm wondering, if my Inspired Hex had a slacker head angle, would it feel more old school? Would it be easier to transfer between the mountain bikes and the Hex? There's only one way to find out, and that's with this thing. This is a Slack R angle adjust headset adapter from 9.8. Now, angle adjust headset adapters aren't unusual in the mountain bike world, but I bet you've probably never seen one like this before. Inspired's latest frames actually take drop-in style headsets, which means there's no cups to be pressed in, which means you can't use a standard angle adjust headset, which is simple cups at different angles. So we have to go for something like this instead. This is made from 3 separate parts. You have the lower cup and the upper cup, and essentially it just clamps itself into the frame. So today I'm going to fit this thing, and I believe this will slacken off my head angle by 1.5 degrees. And actually I think it'd be quite funny once I've ridden this bike slacker. What would it be like if it was 1.5 degrees steeper? I believe this can just be rotated 180 degrees, so we'll try that once I've ridden it. But yeah, let's get this fitted and see how it rides. So there we go, it is all fitted, and actually that went pretty easily. All you have to do is really line it up and tighten it up and it's good to go. I do have one word of warning with this system though. Because I'm adding cups to the outside of the frame, you're actually going to use up more steer tube. Now fortunately I actually had quite a few spacers, or at least one big spacer on my steer tube, but with this system I've had to take that out completely and I've only just got enough steer tube left. So if you're going to run this system, make sure your steer tube is long enough. Now from looking at the bike, just stood on the floor earlier, I didn't actually notice it looked any slacker, but the proof will be in the pudding. Once it stops raining, I'm going to get this bike outside and see how it feels. The weather's being kind to us, it's currently not raining, so I've decided to come out and ride some absolute classic Glasgow spots. This is going to be a real old school style video, riding my street trials bike in Glasgow on some old school spots. It's going to be fun. And what do you reckon, guys? Does the bike look any different? I think it does look a little bit slacker now that I've had time to look at it, but yeah, how does it ride? Let's find out. Right, now that I've bored you with a bit of riding, let's get to the exciting world of geometry. So I measured the head angle and it's actually come out way slacker than I thought it was going to be. I expected maybe a 71.5 degree head angle, but it's come out at 70 degrees pretty much bang on. which I thought was going to feel really, really weird, and maybe at first it is noticeable, but having a little roll around here, it now feels pretty normal. I am not noticing it at all. That said, I am doing a lot of just back wheel stuff, and it shouldn't really affect it too much. I mean, it has maybe shortened the reach just by a tiny little bit, but to compensate for the head angle change, I've actually tilted my bars forward a little bit, which has increased the reach, so I don't think there's any difference. Certainly I can't feel any difference. But other than the head angle change, the other difference which is noticeable is the wheelbase. I've actually extended the wheelbase by about 20 mil, and I think this could help some stuff, but also might hurt some stuff. So I'm going to swap out the back wheel stuff for some front wheel action and see how we get on. Right, I'm going to stick with these blocks for now because I want to try and up to front wheel. I'm a little bit rusty, although thanks so much for all the kind words in my last video from all the folks saying I don't look rusty at all. I'm actually pretty happy with the riding, but it just felt like a lot of effort to get there, and I did feel pretty rusty. So hopping this to front wheel, I'm going to feel a little bit rusty at this, but I'm sure I'll get it eventually. Once I do get it, I want to know if I can bunny tap this. This is one thing I think a really steep head angle kind of sucks at, is ramming your front wheel into a wall to get some uplift, because that steep head angle just makes you want to go straight to face. So will a slacker head angle make bunny taps nicer? Soon find out. I was going to get that first try. I don't know what to do. Weirdly, despite being 3.5 degrees slacker, up to fronts don't feel too much different at all. I don't know whether the longer wheelbase makes the wall feel a little bit smaller, because essentially your bike's closer to it as you go up. You don't feel like you have to jump as high. But yeah, that didn't feel bad at all. That actually felt pretty good. I got that way quicker than I have in the past. So maybe this isn't such a stupid idea after all. But yeah, it's not over yet. Still need to bunny tap this thing. I've still got the mindset of my old steeper head angle, so I'm hitting it too high because I'm scared of going over the handlebars, whereas actually this will allow me to hit it lower. I just need to be brave enough. Okay, chalk up another win for a slacker head angle. That actually flew up really, really nicely. It's not the biggest wall in the world, but doing that with a steeper head angle, it's pretty sketchy. I could do it with my steep head angle, but it wasn't fun, whereas that was fun. Yeah. Just for clarification, 73.5 degree head angle is as steep as I'd ever want to go. When I rode the arcade, I believe I had a 74 degree head angle, and that was out of choice, out of my choice, Mark's choice, Sean's choice, because it was a bike that was meant to be more for the BMXers, and BMXers have like 74, 74.5 degree, maybe 75 degree head angles, so it was more to suit them. And I actually got on with it pretty well, although I never did any bunny taps on it because it was horrible for that. However, after riding a bunch of old school bikes with slacker head angles and actually getting on with them pretty well, I realized actually I don't think steep head angles are as vital as you think on a street trials bike, and actually maybe slacker could be better for a lot of stuff. And so far I'm not finding any issue with it at all. However, it's still early days. Let's try some more stuff and see if I still like it at the end of the day. Okay, I'm struggling with this. Could be that I'm out of practice, or it could be a slacker head angle is worse for it. I suspect it might be the slacker head angle. I'm going to move on to a slightly bigger banking because I did actually do a front wheel stoppy thing on that one over there, actually just before I went and injured myself recently. And I think that banking is a bit bigger, might give me more time, so let's try that. I'm struggling with this a bit, and I think some of it is in my mind as well. This is the banking that I fell off. I went over the bars on it and yeah, sliced open my knee, got a bar end to the eyebrow, and I'm just a little bit intimidated by it. It feels like with the slacker head angle I need to be more committed than I'm usually used to, and that combined with the mindset, yeah, it's making me a bit nervous. I'll give it a few more, see how I get on. This is weird. I'm just not getting anywhere near it. But the crazy thing is, I actually did this on my full sus pivot with like a 4-degree slacker head angle than this. So I know it's not the head angle. I just think it's me. But I am going to chalk this up to maybe a lose for the slacker head angle because I am finding this slightly hard and I can't fully blame myself for that. Ooh, there's a lot of glass around here. Okay, there's actually just way too much glass here for me to try and get more angles of that. These tyres are only thin. Even though I'm tubeless, a slice, that's the day over. So I'm pleased to have got that. Would have been nice to get a double angle, but I'm going to move on instead. Haven't gone over this for a while. I'm just going to try and up to front and over. Try not to slip. I'm totally having to do baby steps to work my way up to this. Okay, it's been a while, but it's business time. So long since I've come out riding in Glasgow. This is one of the noisiest places. I always call this the noisiest place in Glasgow. I forgot how distracting everything is. Oh man, it's driving me mad. So this happens sometimes. I just get complete sensory overload being in a place like this. I'm just getting distracted by there's like people walking, there's like crows, there's traffic over there, there's traffic above me, there's noise coming this way, that way. I just cannot focus. It is driving me absolutely mad, so I hate walking away from stuff, but the longer I stay here, the more distracted and annoyed I'm getting, so I'm gonna have to go somewhere a little bit quieter. Yeah, a little bit quieter here. This is nicer. Okay, update. I've been doing some tech front wheel action and gaps to front, real nice. I actually think the slacker head angle is nicer to gap to front. However, front pivots, some of this tech stuff, I did struggle with, and I don't think that's just because I'm rusty or it's been a long time since I've done it. I actually do think the slacker head angle did make that harder. One thing with my retro bikes is I nearly always had a longer stem with those, which helps stretch you over, keep you over the front wheel, whereas this one I've kept the fairly short stem, but only just made the head angle slacker, and I think that's actually made the bike worse for the front wheel stuff, which a lot of you probably won't be surprised by. I am an absolute glutton for punishment. I haven't done a vertical hook in over a year, so I'm going to try one today. And yeah, back to this spot, you may have seen it before. And I actually struggle with this hook on a good day, let alone when I'm rusty. But this could potentially be a good test. Will my longer wheelbase make getting my front wheel over the top easier? Will my slacker head angle make the bike less twitchy? I actually don't know. In my head, this should be a little bit easier, but in reality, it might not play out that way. I might not be able to get this at all, but I want to give it a good try. Colour me surprised. I got that 2 times in a row because the first one I messed up going off backwards, but that only took a handful of tries. I'm actually genuinely shocked and surprised by that. You'd think having a steeper head angle would help with hooks because the bike just wants to go into its front wheel, whereas actually I think the wheelbase plays a more important factor. Having a longer wheelbase means you don't have to jump as high, and it just makes it a lot easier to get your front wheel over the top corner. So it's only 20 mil, but that 20 mil I think has made quite a big difference. It might not have been a hook to manual like I've done in the past, but I'll take that considering how little I've been riding lately. We've got dogs over here. Got some rocks here. Some of you may recognize these, but honestly I think the last time I rode them was on a retro GT back when COVID was around, like one of the lockdowns or something. I can't believe it's been that long. I've driven past these quite a few times and I've just really wanted to ride them again. So I know it counts as natural. Maybe not the best natural in the world, but let's see how the slack head angle copes with natural. PRU. It's a little bit damp. Gonna try and gap to a slightly damp mossy rock with a fairly slick hard tyre. Could be interesting. But I'm pretty surprised by that. On the GT I only just made it, the tyre kind of slipped and it actually looked quite cool. On this bike, flew across it, grip not an issue, stayed on the back wheel. Quite surprised, quite happy. Alright folks, I'm going to leave it there because I've been riding a long time for someone who hasn't been riding much lately, and yeah, I'm starting to feel it a bit. Actually my neck's starting to hurt as well, so I don't want to aggravate that too much. But the bike, what do I think of the slacker head angle? Well, I can narrow it down to this. For pure trials, gaps, side ups, hooks, maybe a bit of natural, the slacker head angle is really nice. It actually makes the bike a bit more neutral, less nervous, less likely to spit you over the front end. However, for street stuff, if you're wanting to really get technical on the front wheel, it is a little bit of a hindrance. But as it stands, I'm not sure whether I'm going to keep this or not. I might keep it in for a little bit and just see how I get on with it, because I'm sure I can adjust to the front wheel stuff, but I don't know, it needs some experimenting. Maybe a longer stem or something but I don't want to compromise the spins too much. And of course, I also need to try the adapter the other way around and see what would that be, like a 76-degree head angle would be like. I'm not thinking that would be very fun at all, but it'd be quite fun to try. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. It's nice to be back out again. Hope you all have an amazing week, and I'll catch you next time. So take care. Bye bye.